Welcome to today's class. We shall be looking at software, internet, and social media. So we begin with software. When we say software or computer software, it is just the set of instructions that the computer hardware executes to carry out a specific task. Or some will say it is the set of instructions that tells the computer hardware what to do. Now, software can also come in suite, which we refer to it as bundles. And what are bundles? It is a related software package that are sold together. So, for instance, you can have Microsoft Suite, and the Microsoft Suite has a collection of applications or application of softwares. For example, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access, and the rest. So all these are collection of softwares that are packaged together into what we call a bundle or software suite that are brought to the market to be sold. So a company decides to develop all these software suites, bring all of them to the market, and then sells to the general public. Another example of a software suite is the Adobe suite. The Adobe suite. And in the Adobe suite, we can have a collection of softwares like the Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Flash, Adobe Dreamweaver, and the others. And all of these are kind of related together, and each of them has its own use or its own purpose. Okay, now software can fall into two broad categories, and they are the application software and the system software. So system software, it is just the collection of programs that allows a computer to operate and also to run application software. So when you have your computer system, the first software that has to be in place is the system software, because it is on the system software that we can install our application softwares which we can use to perform some tasks. The system software allows the computer to operate well and also allows our applications to be installed on it. And then application software, it is just the programs that helps the user to perform some tasks or some specific tasks. Now let's look at system software. We have already mentioned it. It enables the application software to run on our PC. It also helps in managing all the internal and external resources connected to the computer system. Now, examples of system software include operating system, utility software, device drivers, and language translators. What are the functions of the system software? By way of the introduction, I think I've already mentioned some. System software, it tells the computer how to interpret the data and then instructions. It also uh, helps the peripheral devices to communicate with the computer. So it enables the computer system to communicate with the printer, with the keyboard, and then the disk drives. It also helps to manage your files and folders on your computer system. Then it also tells how the hardware in general has to be used. Then it also allows computer users to be able to interact with the computer, because without the system software, you can't have the opportunity to put on your application software in order to interact with the computer. Then the examples or the types or categories of the system software. You have the operating system, utility, translator, and then the device drivers. Now, operating system, which in short we can say OS. This is the software that controls all the application software, and also it manages how the hardware will work, or manages how your hardware devices work together. So it is believed to be the basic software of any computer system. So for our personal computers, we need to have the operating system, which is a system software in place, and that allows us to be able to use our computer to run other applications. Then we also have what we call a network operating system, the NOS. Now, this is the program or the software that enables the network to manage all the resources on it. So whereas in our personal computer we need the operating system, when it comes to a network, we also need the network operating system so that it can help us to manage all the hardware and resources connected in the network, and also to help us run all other applications we will need on the network. So functions of operating system: it helps to recognize inputs from devices, because it's the job of the operating system to tell the computer that an input has been made from the mouse, maybe with a click, or some keys have been entered on the keyboard. It is the job of the operating system to recognize all those inputs, and as well, it also helps in sending outputs to the display screen or our monitor. The operating system also keeps track of files, folders, directories on the drive or on the disk. It also helps to control all peripheral devices so that the peripheral devices can communicate with the computer system. The operating system also gives the opportunity for user to interact with the computer by giving that user interface. The operating system also allows us to run or install our applications, which we can use in solving some tasks. And then the operating system also allows us to do more than one task at a time, which we call multitasking. So many activities, many tasks can be executed simultaneously at the same time, and that is multitasking. Then we also have some examples or types of network operating system. The novel network, Microsoft Windows 2000. There are many of them. We have lots of them here. We have Linux, Unix, Ubuntu. We have one from the Microsoft family, and lots of them are here. The PowerPoint will be sent to you, so you just uh, note some of them. And then this slide also has more of the other operating system, and this one, most of them are for mobile phones. So it helps the mobile phone to be able to work properly, and also allows us to be able to install other apps on our mobile phone. So we need to have our phones also need to have its own operating system there in place before we can install other apps. So the Android is there and the others. Then we talk about utility software. Now, the utility software helps to provide support and also enhance and expand existing programs in a computer system. So all that utility software does is it helps in managing our computer resources. So for instance, if your disk or your drive is getting full, we can do what we call uh, defragmentation, so that all your files will be organized well, all unused or redundant spaces will be got rid of, so that you have more space in order to save other files. Because sometimes when you save files on your disk, it is scattered. It is scattered on the surface of the disk. And when it is scattered like that, it makes it consume more space on your disk. So you need a software that will help in organizing and rearrange all the files, so that it will be arranged in a relatively smaller space, or using a smaller capacity. Then the rest of the space will be reserved for you for other storage. So the purpose of the utility software is just to help in managing our computer resources. So let's look at some example of the utility programs. We have the antivirus, which guards the computer against virus attack. So what is it doing? It is helping in managing our computer against virus attack and other damaging programs that can destroy or invade the computer system. So antivirus, what does it do? Detect, it can remove, or it can quarantine virus from operating. Now we have examples of antivirus here: the Norton, McAfee, Avira, Avast, etc. Okay, then we can also talk of the backup. Backup. And what does backup do? It helps us to make duplicates of all our data or information in case of any distraction or natural hazard that will make us lose our data. With the help of the backup softwares, we can make duplicates of all our information and store them somewhere. So in case there is a problem, we just go for the backup, and then we have our data intact. So there are examples of software that can help us to do that, and they are stated here: the Norton backup, the Paragon, the Kubiak, etc. Then we also have the data recovery, which is used to restore or resurrect all data file that has been physically corrupted or has been accidentally deleted. So we can recover all our lost files with the help of data recovery software. And we have the Recover, PhotoRec, and many others. Okay, then the disk defragmentation. This is what I mentioned earlier. So it helps in eliminating all unnecessary fragments. When you save your data on your disk, it becomes scattered, thereby consuming more space. So we need a software, disk defragmentation software, that will get rid of all the unnecessary fragments, all the scattering, and rearrange them nicely, so that more space will be reserved for uh, different storage of data. And we have examples: Windows Disk Defragmenter, Ultimate Defrag, and the others. Then we also have the file compression, which helps us to reduce our file size by removing all redundant element and gaps from the file. So once the redundant elements and then gaps are removed, it shrinks the size of our file, thereby making it take a relatively small size. Examples are the WinZip, WinRAR, etc. Then we have the uninstall that help us to get rid of all applications or softwares that we don't need on our system. We have examples there. Okay, then we have the crash proof that helps to save the information in the system and also makes you turn off the computer and then turn it on again. So once you turn it on again, because of the crash proof, it's able to bring you back to the state where you were without having any problem. So we have the crash proof as an example and then the warp proof as an example. Then we have the language translators, and this is more peculiar to the IT or the programmers. Now, we all know that computer understands in binary digits or in bits, zeros and ones. So all the programming instructions that programmers or IT specialists write, the computer in itself doesn't understand. There needs to be another software that will translate the instructions that the programmers have written into the zeros and ones for the computer to understand. And that software that does that is the language translators. Is the language translators. So if a programmer writes a program in C++ or in Java or in Python or in Visual Basic, the programmer needs a translator to translate it into zeros and ones for the computer to understand. And that is the work of the language translator. So we have types, we have the assembler, the compiler, and then the interpreter. Since we are not IT students, we will not go into detail of that. Okay, then we also have the device drivers, and these are special programs that allows particular input or output to communicate with the rest of the computer. So without device drivers, you cannot uh, without device driver for a printer, you cannot communicate with the printer because the device driver will help you or will help the computer system to be able to communicate with your with your printer. Okay, so all peripherals connected to the computer system must have its own drivers which will help the computer system communicate with them. Then we come to the application software, and the application software is more uh, geared towards the user, what the user will use to perform some operations or to perform some tasks. So it consists of programs developed for computer users to solve specific tasks. So we can note the basic difference between system software and application software. Whereas the system software uh, is the software that looks at managing the computer itself. Application software is more geared towards the user. It helps the user to perform a specific task. Then we can talk of categories of application software. We have productivity, business and specialty, entertainment, education and reference. So we'll quickly look at them one by one. Productivity, and under that we can talk of the word processor, which has to create letters, some documents, memos, and all what have you. Then we have there are examples of word processor software there. and some of them you know them already. We also have the spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet, which is the Excel. What does it do? It helps us to do calculations. We work with numbers, and then we can also create graphs and charts uh, with the help of the spreadsheet. Example, we have the Excel, the Lotus 1, 2, 3, etc. And then we have the database management. The database management software. What does it do? It helps us to create a central store of information or a central store of data where we can access whatever data we need. Uh, we can access it from there. So it is that software, the database management software, it is that software that helps us to organize all our data into a central pool or into a central store. And then from that central store, we can access whatever data we need from there. So we have the Microsoft Access and then the SQL. So it is with the help of the database management software, we can create uh, applications that will be used to run an institution or an organization, where each and every person in the institution will access data from that central store. Then we also have browsers. And what does browsers do? Browsers help us to be able to navigate on the web or on the World Wide Web. So, example, we have the Internet Explorer, Firefox, and many others. Then we also have the presentation software, and that helps us to organize our information into slides for presentation. So the PowerPoint, Impress, and the others. And then we have the desktop publisher, which combines the capability of word processing and also some designing and formatting techniques so that the layout and the appearance of our document will look good. We have the page maker, we have the MS publisher, and then we have the graphics, which is used more uh, or which is peculiar to the art student. It helps in creating and editing photos and art. So there are examples there. As you get the note, you note some of them. And then the web authoring tools or the web authoring software. And these are the software that help us to create and design or develop websites so that once we create the website, we host it on a server on the internet, and then all other people can access uh, information on the website we have created. Okay, then we come to the business and specialty software. So it is purposely designed for business purposes, and it's also for industry use, which is also for business purposes, which helps in uh, generating income. We can talk of the computer aided design softwares, which is more used for the architectural industry or the architecture industry. We have the project management, uh, which helps in managing projects. We have the multimedia authoring, and under the multimedia, we can talk of Macromedia Flash. It's used to be called Macromedia Flash, but now uh, it belongs to the Adobe, let me say the Adobe company. So it is now Adobe Flash. It is now Adobe Flash, not Macromedia Flash. And Adobe Flash can be used in creating animations, or it can be used in creating some uh, simulations for industries. Then we can also talk of the Adobe Captivate, which is more used in the educational field for creating some learning content or learning materials uh, for learners to use. Then we have something called the vertical market software. And what is that? A software is called vertical market software when that software is unique to a particular industry. When that software is just unique to a particular industry. So it is created for the purpose of operations of that industry. Then we also have the horizontal market software. So this is just the opposite of the vertical. It is not created for one particular industry, but all other fields or all other industries can make use of this application software for their operations. Then we talk about entertainment software, which is obvious for amusement or for having fun, and these are the entertainment software. So they basically consist of games and the media players. Okay, forgive, there's some noise coming in, but I will quickly go through. I believe you can still hear. So under the entertainment software, we have some games and then we have some media players that can help us to play videos and audios and what have you. Then we have the education and reference software. Education and reference software, which is for educational purposes. So we have the Microsoft Encounter, the Mavis Beacon, the Web Dictionary. Okay, so that is that for the software. So I will break here on that of the software and then I will continue with the internet shortly.